This one is, am I the astronaut for telling my husband that his parents are not welcome to stay with us when our baby is born? Sorry, this is going to be a bit long, but I want to paint the whole picture. Let me start with my in-laws' first 3 visits to our home. Their first visit was less than 2 weeks after our daughter was born. I didn't want them there being first-time parents, but my husband talked me into it. This being their first grandchild, they were excited to meet her. My father-in-law had been in and out of the hospital and had almost passed away. I didn't think traveling 2,000 miles from home was smart. When they arrived, he immediately became medically non-compliant. This became a stress on everyone. We harped on him to get back on track. For someone who has had 3 second chances at life, he sure is ungrateful. I caught father-in-law eating all the ice cream out of the containers instead of getting a bowl. I went to the cabinet and got him a bowl. I then said, "Oh wait, your germs are already in it." One of my favorite bottles of whiskey disappeared. Father-in-law had drank 3/4 of a bottle. When he went to replace it, he couldn't because it was out of season. He told me I shouldn't be drinking while breastfeeding anyways. I was furious by this point. Father-in-law has a nasty habit of being up all night. This became a huge problem for me. I would get up at night and head to the living room to feed because the recliner was far more comfortable than the wooden rocking chair. I now couldn't do this because father-in-law was down there with the TV blaring. I still believe the stress and discomfort he caused is the reason I didn't produce. I celebrated when they left. They were there 3 weeks. Visit number 2 was my daughter's first birthday. I was already stressed getting everything ready. Father-in-law once again became medically non-compliant, and yes, it did land him in the ER later on their visit. Father-in-law ate my daughter's smash cake. Wait, what? The father-in-law ate the smash cake. That deserves this. Furious doesn't even describe what I was. I told my husband that if he didn't say anything, I was going to, and they would be on the street. He continued drinking any alcohol he could get his hands on, and I mean any and all alcohol. Father-in-law continued to stay up all hours of the night. He woke my daughter up every night. This created a habit for her. Father-in-law then couldn't understand why I was so cranky and tired. Did I mention that my daughter wanted nothing to do with my father-in-law? They stayed 2 weeks that time. It took me months to break my daughter's habit and get her to sleep through the night. My daughter ended up in the hospital for a week. They wanted to come stay and help. I told my husband I would pack my daughter and I up to stay at my dad's. They did not come. Visit 3 was during what was supposed to be a relaxing 2 weeks off. They just decided to come. I was furious. We had plans to take just a couple little trips with our daughter and they were canceled. They didn't even ask what we had going on. They arrived and you guessed it, father-in-law was immediately medically non-compliant. He ended up in the ER this visit too. Father-in-law drank 2 bottles of whiskey while he was here. This does not include the wine he drank daily. It wasn't his whiskey either. After about 4 days of them being here, my daughter began ignoring and avoiding my father-in-law. As soon as I would lay my daughter down for a nap or for bed, father-in-law was immediately making noise and waking her up. Even after he was told STFU several times throughout the stay, he still continued. My daughter didn't nap at all one day. She was a bear. Dinner time came around. I got her started eating and she was doing well. Then my father-in-law decided to talk to her. She was so upset I had to stop making my plate and tend to her. While I was calming her down, father-in-law took my plate that I had started making for myself. My husband chewed him out. Not once did he apologize. Father-in-law would get up in the morning, eat breakfast, and then go sleep on the couch. My poor daughter was stuck in her room to play or out in the 100-degree weather. While they were here, it was confirmed that I was 10 weeks pregnant, now 16 weeks pregnant. We decided to let our daughter give them an ultrasound picture to announce it. Mother-in-law was thrilled. First mention of mother-in-law here. Father-in-law was just concerned with how many more kids we were going to have. After that, I began taking my daughter and disappearing upstairs with her. I got to the point where I didn't want her around him. They finally left after 2.5 weeks. I told my husband we needed to talk about their visit. He said yes, it was a long couple of weeks. I agreed and told him they can't stay here when the baby comes. My daughter will be adjusting to sharing mom and dad. We will be adjusting to a new routine. I also brought up where am I supposed to go to feed in the middle of the night. I told him I realized they are his parents and I am not denying them the right to meet their grandchild. We just cannot have father-in-law here being disrespectful. Other accommodations need to be arranged. My husband was not happy, but I think he understood. So am I the a-hole? No. NTA. 100%. And the original question up here was, am I the astronaut for telling my husband that his parents are not welcome to stay with us when our baby is born? NTA, 100%. And also, I would go as far to say your parents aren't allowed to stay here, period. Every single time has been an absolute shite show. He's disrespectful. It is not good for the kids. At what point, OP, is your husband going to start making the right decision for his kids? That's what really bothers me here, is that, yes, I understand that it's his parents, but when you have a family, that becomes your first priority, not accommodating your elderly severely drunk father. You know what I mean? Like, especially if that visit not just has a negative effect on your wife, but has a negative effect on your children. Hell no. How is this even an option anymore? How is he upset at them not being able to stay there? Are you saying no to that? How is it that he's upset about here? His priorities are jacked. And tell him that. Be like, look, what is the right decision for the kids? And why wouldn't he have put a stop to this in the first place? It's his job to put a stop to this because they're his parents. You having to speak up about it at all is messed up. They're his parents. I get him wanting to see them, but letting his father-in-law cause damage to his family is unacceptable. And it's happened multiple times now. He needs to step up, do the right thing for his family, and put a stop to it. They need to be staying in a hotel or something. They cannot come to your house, cause all of this destruction, and then just disappear while you spend months trying to clean up the mess and pick up the pieces and get routines back in order. It's unacceptable, and he needs to understand that. Do what's right for the family, man. The hotel room doesn't have free booze. It doesn't have a place where he can go just take food that someone else was making for themselves. You guys can meet them out for dinner one night and do stuff with them during the day, but don't let them come back to your place. Don't. It's already caused enough pain. How much pain is enough? Maybe it's because he knows his dad is getting older and he feels like he has limited time left. But look, his dad is just making dumbass choices here and being disrespectful at every turn. He doesn't have respect for anybody, not even himself. So why are you willing to let that much damage happen?